Roots determine survival. They decide yield, strength and recovery after stress. History proves this across famine years and subsistence farming eras. Crops that failed underground failed above it. Farmers learned this early by watching plants die in strong sunlight because roots were weak, while modest plants thrived because roots spread wide and deep. Roots do not search blindly. They follow moisture and dissolved nutrients carried by water. Water acts as the delivery system. Fertilizer alone does nothing without it. Seed quality alone does nothing without it. Water decides where roots grow and how fast they multiply. Early agrarian societies noticed this without scientific language. They dug plants by hand and felt the roots. Dense root mats meant survival. Thin roots meant hunger. Watering practices changed before tools or seed selection ever did. When water penetrates soil deeply, it sends a signal. Roots move downward to follow it and branch as they go. Each branch increases absorption. Increased absorption drives growth above ground. This relationship is fixed by plant physiology and does not change with era or technology. Shallow watering actually trains roots to remain near the surface. The thing is, surface soil dries fast. So roots trapped there suffer from heat stress and, well, they just stop expanding. Growth pauses and yield stalls, even when there's plenty of sunlight and nutrients around. Deep watering, on the other hand, changes plant behavior entirely. Water moves past the top layer, and roots, they chase it downward and spread laterally as they descend. The root zone increases in volume, and the plant responds with honestly visible force. Historical dryland farmers, they really relied on this pattern. They watered rarely, and they watered deeply. Then they waited. Patience in those days determined survival when rain failed and labor was, well, limited. One deep watering, really reshapes root architecture. Moisture actually remains below the surface for much longer. Roots stay active for days instead of just hours. This kind of sustained activity, well, it triggers rapid branching, and honestly, this is measurable growth, not just a metaphor. Soil texture, it truly controls how all of this works. Loam, for example, allows even penetration. Sand, on the other hand, drains fast and demands volume. Clay resists and, well, it demands time. Farmers used to judge this by feel, pressing soil between their fingers and listening to the sound of water soaking in. When water disappears instantly, it means the soil is dry and open. But when it pools, the soil is compacted. Both of these situations affect roots. Still, the objective stays constant. Water must reach depth without runoff. In pre-industrial farming, water was, well, precious. Every application really counted. Surface loss meant hunger later. Deep watering conserved effort, seed, and time. Roots respond within hours. Cells elongate toward moisture gradients. New root hairs form and multiply rapidly when soil stays moist. These hairs die quickly when soil dries too fast. Frequent light watering creates stress cycles. Roots start, then stop. They never commit. The plant stays shallow and weak, even when watered often. A single thorough watering avoids this cycle. Moisture remains stable, and roots continue expanding without interruption. Underground networks grow first, and then above-ground growth follows days later. Leaves thicken, stems firm, and color deepens. These signs guided farmers long before laboratory tools existed. During historical food shortages, this method separated survival from loss. Deep-rooted crops resisted heat and delay. They survived missed rains and produced when others failed. Water carries minerals downward, Nitrogen moves first, then potassium follows along. Phosphorus, though, tends to linger near the roots. Deep watering distributes these elements evenly, and, well, it helps prevent shock or burn. Balanced uptake keeps the plant regulated, growth stays steady rather than becoming erratic, which is really important. When roots expand, the plant allocates more energy to fruit. This is an internal calculation, you might say. Capacity, in the end, determines output. Historically, market gardeners really focused on soil moisture before they did any feeding or pruning. They understood that, well, feeding shallow roots just wastes effort. The act of deep watering truly matters. Water has to soak in slowly. You'll notice the sound changes as the soil accepts the moisture. That surface splashing, it fades into a sort of dull quiet. This signals, proper penetration. Soil darkens gradually and the color shift spreads outward and downward. This visual, it confirms the depth. After watering, the surface dries first. Pests are discouraged and roots remain deep. Moisture below stays protected from heat and wind. The next watering waits. Days pass and roots expand unseen. Restraint increases return. Many fail by watering too soon. Historical records repeat this mistake. In survival contexts, this method, really saved labor. With fewer waterings, plants actually became stronger and the yields were higher. Root mass helps stabilize the soil, which is pretty important. Erosion slows down and moisture stays locked in place. This was especially significant on slopes and exposed fields. The principle, honestly, applies across all sorts of crops, grains, vegetables, even fruit trees. Really, only the scale changes. Trees, they show the clearest proof. Deep-watered trees, well, they resist drought for years. But shallow-watered trees, they fail quickly. The difference, really, it remains underground. Modern tools, they confirm what ancient observation already knew. Root scans, for instance, show dramatic branching right after deep moisture events. And honestly, the pattern matches historical practice exactly. One correct watering, believe it or not, can triple harvest potential. Through structure, not magic. Commitment from the plant, well, it follows commitment from the grower. Water teaches roots where to live. If you teach depth, well, the plant rewards you. But if you teach shallowness, it fails.
Apply water deliberately. Let it sink. Let the soil accept it fully. Then stop.
Watch growth change. Feel stem firmness. Notice leaf texture. These signals do not lie. The takeaway is simple and unforgiving. Roots decide harvest. Water decides roots. Use this knowledge deliberately. Share it with others who grow food. Subscribe and share for more grounded instruction that respects history and reality.